Even cultures founded in godliness are capable of degenerating to such an extent that they promote as virtuous unspeakable horrors. Somewhere out there in this audience, somebody is thinking to themselves, hey, those Mayas, they lived a couple hundred years ago. They're a bunch of savages that lived in the woods. I don't have anything to do with them. There's no connection with us. I just don't see it. I don't get it. Here's what the Bible teaches us. The Bible teaches us that child sacrifice and ritual killing is as old as Babel. It's as old as the earth. Maybe not as old as the earth, but as old as the post-flood world. We see in the Scriptures over and over again, in literally dozens of passages, God pointing out nations that sacrificed their own children. And the Arvites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sephardites burned their children in the fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, to the gods of Sepharvaim. And the Scripture says this, it wasn't just them. It was also the Hebrews themselves, the people of God, the people who had received the law of God, the blessing of God, the people who were to be in covenant with God, the holy people of the earth, killed their children. Moreover, he burnt incense in the valley of the son of Hinnom and burnt his children in the fire after the abominations of the heathen whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel, King Ahaz. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and they used divination and enchantments, and they sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. Yes, dear friends, God's people are utterly capable of killing their own children. And if you have any wonder about that, I just want to bring you back in time, a little more than 50, 60 years ago. You know, there's a book that came out not too long ago. I read the book, and for a week I walked around in a daze. The book is called Ordinary Men, Reserve Police Battalion 101, and the Final Solution for Poland. Let me explain to you the thesis of this book. The thesis of this book, written by a non-Christian who cannot explain it, who doesn't understand the implications of what he's writing about, but he simply tries to describe what to him is utterly perplexing. The Nazis had a technique. They had a formula for how to carry out the final solution. It wasn't going to be the Waffen-SS that did all the butchering themselves. They wanted to get the local farmer, the local carpenter, and the baker to pull the trigger. How did they do it? Well, they got ordinary men. And they put ordinary men in a situation which was so horrific. And then, as they were trying to sort through the horror of the situation, they gave them ethical challenges that these men did not have the theological foundation to answer. And here's what the book explains. The Waffen-SS would turn to one group of men, and they would say to this man, now I want you to shoot all the children in the head. And the reason why you have to do this is because those men are shooting all the mothers in the head. And if you don't shoot the children in the head, it will break the hearts of the others because the mothers are all being killed. And then they went over to the women, the people that were responsible for shooting the women. And they said to them, now we want you to shoot all the women. And your job is just to aim for them. And the justification is you're doing a mercy for them. And the reason why you're doing a mercy for them is because these people are killing all the children. So they divided the groups, they put them in ethical situations they didn't have a theological foundation for, and they convinced them that they were doing a kindness to mass execute human beings. And they believed it. And they stopped thinking of people as people, and just as masses of flesh. And the potential of the mind in a depraved state to accept unspeakable horrors is demonstrated in full view. A third message we have from the Mayas: these ordinary men and women are capable of being so sensitized to evil that they tolerate, they accept, they promote unthinkable atrocities. These ordinary people, these ordinary men and women going about their day. What's a day look like to a Mayan? Wake up in the morning, have breakfast, go out in the field and work, paint a pot, dig your field, go down to the temple and watch your neighbor's son be thrown down the steps after his heart's been cut out. Then go home, talk to your wife, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and start all over again. How is this possible? It's called the depraved heart of man. But you know something? In America, we have long accepted the principle of the Mayas. Long ago, we accepted it. We accepted it, and today, we pay for it through our taxpayer dollars. Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood and one of the chief architects behind the eugenics philosophy, early on tried to explain the need for killing children, for wiping them out, and for preventing them from coming. And they were racial and eugenic in orientation, and the desire to create a master race. And under Margaret Sanger's religion, a religion which was embraced by Hitler and is embraced by universities across America, and sadly is unwittingly embraced in churches in America today, under this religion, we are doing a kindness to stop, quote unquote, stupid people, mentally defective people, undesirable people, people that are on respirators, people that we have to pay heavy medical bills for. And after all, they're a burden. We don't want to have to deal with them. Let's get rid of them and sacrifice to the great God of evolution and human progress. Margaret Sanger said, the most merciful thing a family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. She then went on to explain, December 19th, 1939, how, as the high priest of this philosophy, we manipulate others into doing our work for us, just as the priest of the Mayans did that to them. We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds, she wrote, and with engaging personalities. The most successful education approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their most rebellious members. In other words, we'll use them. We'll use them to accomplish our purpose, just as the priests of the Mayans used their own people. She went on to explain the problem with helping people. She said, organized charity is itself a symptom of a malignant social disease. Those vast, complex, interrelated organizations aiming to control and to diminish the spread of misery and destitution and all the menacing evils that spring of this sinisterly fertile soil are the surest sign that our civilization has bred, is breeding, and is perpetuating constantly increasing numbers of defectives, delinquents, and dependents. Listen to this. My criticism is not directed at the failure of philanthropy, but rather at its success. The most serious charge that can be brought against modern benevolence is that it encourages the perpetuation of defectives, delinquents, and dependents. These are the most dangerous elements in the world community, the most devastating curse on human progress and expression. Do you really think we're not capable of what the Mayans did? We do it all the time. Last night I mentioned to you that 1/4 of the people that should be in this room are not in this room because they were vivisected in abortuaries across America by people that should have loved them and given their lives for them. You see, the problem with the Mayas and the problems with modern Americans is that neighbor down the street, she's a murderer. That friend you had a cocktail at the local club with his business associates, he's a murderer. And they think nothing of it. And they laugh. And they raise their glasses and they smile. Because in modern America, just like in Mayan civilization, it is okay to vivisect children if you have a good justification. And that justification has for a long time been propounded by the religious elites, the authors of evolution, the educrats, and the statists who seek to direct the course of this civilization.